Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome to episode number 57 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name is Catherine Erdley and I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. The Resilient Retail Club is my membership group for product businesses and you can find out more at resilientretailclub.com. I'd also love to invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com/shop where you can get a hold of my course, Get Set for Christmas with Joanne Griffin from Creative Flow Collective. If you are thinking about getting ready for Christmas and you want to make it as smooth and easy as possible, then this is the course for you. So go check it out. Today's episode is another solo episode. We're back to the Christmas talk. Of course, I'm going to be talking about this all the way through so that you are as ready and prepared as possible for Christmas. And today what I'm going to do is invite you to think about 3 questions that you can ask yourself when it comes to working out how much to order of your Christmas stock. So this is a question that I get asked a lot. People will often say to me, how do I work out how much I should order for Christmas? It is a common concern that people have because it seems so abstract and so difficult to start quantifying how much you think you're going to sell. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So I'm not going to go into a hugely detailed method to work it out by line, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to ask you to think about 3 questions that will help you get started on putting together that all-important plan for purchasing your Christmas stock. Now, if you are somebody who's already purchased your stock or placed your orders, then it may still be interesting to ask yourself these questions and to reflect. I'd love to hear from you. Why not hop over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club? Tell me, have you already ordered your stock or are you about to? And what did you think about the questions and how did you feel? So the first question that you want to ask yourself is, what are my hero products? So your hero products are really crucial when it comes to your Christmas planning. The course that I did with Joanne, Get Set for Christmas, we go into this in more detail, but just very briefly to say that your hero products are the ones that you're kind of building your Christmas campaign around. It's often to do with the items in your range that are going to be the most giftable, the most suitable for the Christmas season. They do not have to be Christmas themed. And by that, I mean they do not have to have snowflakes and snowmen on them. It could be that simply you have a gift set that is a room spray and a candle, for example, and you're going to feature that most heavily as your Christmas gifting item because you feel like that is going to be it's the bestseller maybe throughout the year. So you're going to really focus on that for Christmas. Have a look at what your bestsellers are throughout the year. It's definitely worth considering if any of those should be your Christmas hero products. And some people will have Christmas themed products. Some people will have specific products that they purchase in for Christmas and they maybe are more overtly Christmas, if you like. But if you're not somebody who has a brand that brings in products that are really super focused on Christmas and you're wondering what your hero products are, then quite simply, what are the ones that you think you're going to sell the most of during the Christmas period? The reason it's important to ask yourself this question when it comes to ordering your stock is that you want to think about these first and foremost. These are the ones that you want to spend most of your time thinking about and focusing on in order to make sure that you get your quantities right. So in terms of looking back at history, if you've got history from previous years, these would be the ones that you want to focus in on. spend a little bit more time and effort thinking about getting these ones right. Because again, with hero products and the way it works with a lot of product ranges, then there is this 80-20 rule. So 80% of your sales are likely to be coming from 20% of your products. If you've picked your hero products correctly, then hopefully 80% of your Christmas sales are going to be coming from your hero products. So they are definitely worth your while focusing in on and making sure that in terms of the quantities, the terms of the amount that you order, these are the ones that are really crucial. They're probably going to be on your homepage. They're going to be featuring in your social media. They're the ones you're going to want to get some really great shots of so that you can be sharing your photography. And they're the ones that are going to be on your email campaigns as well. So if it feels really overwhelming and you think, I don't know how I'm going to possibly work out all my stock ordering for Christmas, focus in on those hero products and make sure that's the first thing that you think about, the first products that you think about. The second question that I would invite you to consider when it comes to working out how much stock you need for Christmas, and that is, how much do you think you're going to sell overall as a business? Because often people ask questions about how much I should order, but the answer, how much should I order, is always reliant on how much am I going to sell. So if you don't really know what your total sales are, you don't really have a sales plan yet for the months of October, November, December, it's going to be very hard for you to get a sense of how much you should order. Now, again, if you are facing your first Christmas, then you may not have a lot of history to go off. So you're going to have to make some assumptions about your Christmas sales. You're going to have to make some assumptions about, is October going to be bigger than a normal month? How much bigger? Is it going to be 30% bigger? Is December going to be twice the size of a normal month? Which is going to be bigger, November or December? You're going to have to make a decision and put in a number. And the key thing I would suggest here is that you just think it through logically. You give it a go. I mean, typically speaking, what you'll see, a lot of small businesses are now seeing that November is actually their biggest month, and December, because perhaps they cut off their shipping fairly early to avoid those last minute Christmas stresses. And October, it really depends how quickly your customer starts buying Christmas. Some people see October as just a little bit bigger than September, and some people already start seeing those early Christmas shoppers coming in and purchasing from them in October. Only you will know for your business, and if you don't have the history, so you can't really say, then I would just put in an assumption. The key thing really about these sales plans is it's not about getting it 100% correct. The chances of you getting it absolutely spot on are fairly minimal. So I want you to think about just getting into the habit of really forecasting, asking yourself, what do I think my sales are going to do? Making a prediction, putting a number down, and then comparing how you are doing against that number. So in the Resilient Retail Club, we have our monthly planning sessions. That's really something that the members are encouraged to do. So start thinking about making those assumptions about the month ahead, or about the year ahead. We do a yearly planning session as well, and we're going to be doing a Christmas planning session. So it's all about what do I think is going to happen, and then comparing, okay, this is what I thought was going to happen, and this is what actually happened. And the more you do that process, make an assumption, test the assumption, make the assumption, test the assumption, the more you do it as you go on in your business, then the more you gain a really good understanding of your business, what happens. Whereas if you never actually look at your numbers, then you will not be able to start making plans and start making really logical assumptions about how much you need to order. You won't really be tuned in or tapped into how your business performs during this time period. So give it a go. Come up with a total sales number. Come up with a number. When it comes to sales forecasts, I often feel like it's really good to be able to have a number that feels exciting. So you'd feel excited if you hit it, but not completely out of the question. So if you've been taking £300 a month, don't set yourself a Christmas goal of £3,000. I mean, it could happen. Certainly some businesses see some incredible spikes at Christmas, but set yourself a goal that would feel really good, really exciting to go for, but doesn't fill you with complete dread, or just leave you wondering, how on earth am I actually going to do this? The other great thing about mapping out your total sales for Christmas is that if you're doing any kind of forecasting for your sales by line, it's really helpful to have then an overall sales forecast for the business. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have an item that you've decided is your hero product. So perhaps it's a gift set or something that sells really well throughout the year, and you've decided, okay, this is going to be a really great item for Christmas. You know that it sells on average 50 a week. So in a typical week, or if you average the sales out across the year, 50 is about the number that you normally sell of this. You can then have a look at what you think your overall sales are going to be doing in the months of November and December, or October, November, December, and use that to make an assumption about this product. So if it normally sells 50, I think October is going to be twice a normal month. Okay, so in October, I think it's going to sell 100. I think in November, I'm going to have sales 3 times that of an average month. Okay, so this product, I think I'm going to sell 150 a week during that month. So as you can see, once you've put a view in, at least for what you think your Christmas sales are going to be and how you think your Christmas sales are going to change over time, then that will really help you when it comes to those individual lines that you want to forecast out, because you can make the assumption that it's going to roughly follow the curve of the whole business. So if you're saying that the whole business is going to be twice an average month, then you can assume that those sales on that product are going to be twice of an average month as well. And can be really useful to help give you that confidence of when it comes to ordering your Christmas stock. And then the third and final question that I want you to ask yourself when it comes to thinking about how much to order for your Christmas stock. And this question is, which is worse, having too much stock or not having enough stock? I really like this question because it rolls several considerations into one simple question. And it's something that when I'm working one-to-one with clients, or when I'm talking to the club members about with Ask Me Anything sessions, then I will ask them this question, invite them to think about this. So I'd like to invite you to think about it too. When you're thinking about ordering a particular product for Christmas, for every single one, ask yourself, which is worse, having too much left or not having enough? So let's look at a couple of different scenarios. Well, the first most obvious scenario for it being worse of something, if you've got too much left, is a very highly Christmas product. And by that, I mean snowmen, robins, or Father Christmas. All of those. If you have got a product that is heavily Christmas or obviously Christmas, then that is what I would term a brown banana. So a brown banana is something that on the 26th of December, nobody wants it. It doesn't matter what the price is, unless you're a super organized person who's purchasing for next year. On the 26th of December, you're going to have a brown banana in your hand. So when you are looking at placing those orders for those particular Christmas products, if you have a lot of that stock left after Christmas, you're going to have to sit on that until next year. And depending on your circumstances, you may just simply not have the cash flow, you may not have the physical space, or even worse, the product could be perishable and so it won't actually last until next year. So those are things that you're going to want to think about very carefully. If you've got one of these products that is a brown banana that you just feel nervous about and you can't keep, or you really don't want to have to keep until next year, I would suggest that when you're making your forecast for how many to order, you definitely go on the conservative side. So let's say the business has been trading up 30% on the year. You think, okay, everything's in line, everything's on track for an amazing Christmas. These products are going to feature front and center. Last year I sold 100 of them. How many do you want to buy this year? Do you want to buy 130 maybe? So 30% up, just like the business has been trading. Even if you think maybe Christmas is going to be even better than that, you may just want to be a little bit cautious and under egg it, as it were. So really kind of pull back and be conservative because of the answer to the question, which is worse, having too much or too little. So having too much left is just going to be a real pain for you in so many different ways. So it's not worth having that, and it's better for you to pull back slightly. It also depends if that product sold out, would people start buying other products? Are there other non-Christmas themed products that they might buy instead as gifts if you ran out? The other end of the spectrum would be a product that perhaps has a really long lead time and is really popular and you know that you often run out of it. So this would be the other end of the spectrum. So if you ask the question, which is worse, running out or not having enough, let's say it's a product that is something that you sell all year round. You have a big spike at Christmas because people love it for a gifting item. Last Christmas, it went bananas. You couldn't keep it in stock. You ran out and then you couldn't get any stock back in because it's on a longer lead time and the supplier was inundated or was closed for Christmas. Now, in that case, for that product, when I was doing my Christmas forecast, I would have a completely different approach. I would think to myself, okay, realistically, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm not going to sell all of this and I'm going to be sitting on it in January. Well, actually, maybe that's fine because maybe I sell it all year round. And if I'm sitting on it in January, it just means that I won't be placing another reorder until March, April, whereas normally I'd be placing another one in February. Well, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Let's go for it. I would rather have this stock in my hands, sitting on my shelf, waiting, ready for Christmas, so that I know that I'm much more likely to be able to fulfill those Christmas orders because last year I felt like I left money on the table. So that could be an example of a product where the answer is, okay, it's better to order more. Sometimes this is also true if there are price improvements for higher volumes. So some manufacturers will tell you there's a price for 100 units, a price for 300 units, a price for 500, 1,000, etc. Generally speaking, I am not a big fan of buying extra stock just to get a slightly better price from the manufacturer because I think it can lead to your cash being tied up. But I would say, again, if it's a product that you really feel is going to sell well at Christmas or you've got proof that it's sold really well in the past, then I would suggest going for it. If you get a slightly better price for 1,000 and you think based on everything and you're not being completely wild and crazy to think you might sell that 1,000, then I would go for it. And again, especially if it's a product that you know, if you sell out in early November, you're not getting it back this side of February, then again, that might be another factor in your decision-making process that might make you feel like, no, okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and place this larger order. So there's lots of different ways of looking at it. But again, I think for every item that you're planning on selling at Christmas, to sit down and run through it, at the very, very least, just your hero items, and then ask yourself those questions. Which is worse, to have too much or to have too little? And then you have to make your decision based on where you think the whole business is going to be going in the run up to Christmas, and based on how you feel about that particular product, how it's been doing. Maybe if you've been doing competitor shopping or you've been seeing what's out there in the market and you feel like this is going to be a really popular item, you have to take a view, basically. You have to make a prediction. But then that's part of the fun of it. That is, for me, always the real buzz of retail, is that you make these predictions and then you see whether or not they're correct. So as long as you embrace it in a fun way, you don't take too big risks. I think that's the other thing as well. For me, buying extra quantities of something that you're going to sell all year round so that you've got enough Christmas stock, that is not a risk. Buying 3,000 of an item that you've never sold before, which is highly seasonal and will not sell after the 26th of November, unless you're habitually selling through 3,000 plus of an item when you launch it, that to me would be a risk. So you do have to take risks. You do have to take a view. You aren't going to have perfect information to make your decisions. But as long as they're calculated risks, as long as they're logical, and as long as you've asked yourself those key questions, which are my hero products? How much do I think I'm going to sell overall? And which is worse, having too much or too little, then you will be in a really good place to put in your Christmas orders. And again, make a note of your decision-making process. Make a note of why you decided to order those amounts of various different products, because it will really, really help you, again, when you come to order it for another seasonal event, whether it's all the way next year for Christmas or whether it's when you're placing your Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day products, then it will help you understand your own thought-making process, and it will help you understand whether or not you made the right decisions and what drove those, so you can kind of tweak your thinking as you go along. But the more you keep notes, the more you are really clear about your thought process, then the better you'll get. And over time, you're going to get really good at this. You're going to get a really good sense. There are always going to be surprises, even probably after you've been running your business 10 years. There are going to be products that you absolutely swear blind are going to be amazing that don't sell, and there are going to be products that you felt were kind of okay-ish that the customer went bananas for. It always happens. Every single retailer I've ever worked in has seen that. Even after years and years and years of serving the same customer, the same types of products, and people who are really highly trained in forecasting and buying, it's always the way. And that's kind of the exciting thing about it. It's kind of the magic of retail, is you never quite know. So I always say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You've got to get those products out there in front of the customer and let them tell you how they feel about it. In an ideal world, you would test things early. You would maybe do a little bit of a Christmas in July. I know a bit late for that now. Or an early launch to get a sense of how something's doing. And then you'd be able to repeat that product. So you could put it out there, see how customers react to it early, and then use that to inform a bigger order closer to Christmas. It's not always possible. It's not always an option. If it is an option for you, then definitely I suggest trialing as much as you possibly can. But if you can't do that, you're going to have to make a forecast based on your best and most logical thought process. Don't overthink it. Come up with a number, give it a go, and then see how Christmas actually shakes out and how you did, how your forecasting was. Because it's always fascinating to see where you got it right and where you got it wrong. That's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. As I said, do come over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club. Please say hello. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you're going to be doing about your Christmas ordering. Then also share where you're listening. I always love to see it when people share a screenshot of them listening into the podcast. It's such a joy to see where people are tuning in from. If you have a moment and you're an iTunes podcast listener, if you have a moment to rate and review the podcast, it means a huge amount to me. I read all the reviews personally and absolutely appreciate every single one of them. And of course, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be the first to know about each new episode when it comes out. Until then. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.